When it comes to rounding decimals, you really need to pay attention to your directions, because your directions will tell you what place value place you're going to round to. You're either going to be rounding usually to the nearest tenth, the nearest hundredth, maybe even the nearest whole number. So it's really important that you look ahead and see where you're going to be rounding to. In this case, we're going to be rounding to the nearest tenth. So what we want to do when we round to the nearest tenth is we're going to follow a process. And the first process is we want to underline the digit that's in the place being rounded. So for example, since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, I'm going to come over here and underline the number that's in the tenths place. Then what I want to do is I want to go back and circle the number that's to the right of this digit. This number is my guide number. This number to the right tells me what to do. Okay? This number tells me if I'm going to round this digit up to the next number or if I'm going to leave it the same. And the rule that we have is that if the guide number is 5 or higher, you're going to round up. So if you look at this number, this is a 6, which is 5 or higher, which means that I'm going to round this underlined digit up. So it's going to become 17 and 9/10. That's how we would round it up. Now, if we go through that same process, for this next problem, we're still rounding to the nearest tenth. I'm going to underline my digit in my tenths place. I'm going to circle my digit to the right of it. And this time when I look at this, it's going to tell me what do I do with that 4. If I look back at my rules, it's not 5 or higher. It's less than 5, okay? And less than 5 is going to be a 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, or a 4. Okay, it does not include 5. And when it's less than 5, the underlined digit stays the same. So this underlined digit is going to stay the same, and this is going to say 23 and 4/10. Now sometimes when we underline our digit in the place being rounded to, so the nearest tenth, and then I go back and I circle my guide number, you see that I have an extra digit here on the end. I don't worry about this digit at all. Okay, anything to the right of the guide number doesn't change the way I round things. The only thing I worry about is the number that's just to the right of my underlined digit. So in this case, that's a 5. If I go back to my rules, 5 or higher means I'm going to round up. So this is going to become 36 and 8/10. Now the rules for rounding are the same no matter what place value place you're rounding to. So in this case, when I look at my directions, I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth. So when I take this number and I round to the nearest hundredth, this time when I underline the line when I underline the digit I want to round to, that digit that I'm going to underline is the one in the hundredths place. My guide number is the one to the right of that. And the rest of the rules are the same. If this is a 5 or above, then this number gets rounded up. If it's less than 5, then this underlined digit stays the same. So this would be 15 and 68 hundredths. Okay, let's try one more. Again, let's underline the digit in the hundredth spot. We're going to circle the digit to the right of it. That's my guide number. I'm going to look at it and see whether or not it's 5 or above. It is. Since this is 5 or above, that changes my number that's underlined to the next number that's higher. So instead of 3.46, that 6 rounds up to a 7. And we get 3 and 47 hundredths. Okay, one last example. Underline the number in your hundredths place. Circle the number to the right of it. Okay, anything past that, we're not going to pay attention to. This 9 is going to determine what happens here. Since this 9 is above 5, 5 or above, this 4 is going to round up, and we're going to get 28.05. Okay, sometimes kids are taught something for rounding. For these guide numbers, 5 and above, give it a shove. That means you shove this number up to the next number that's higher.